verb class 3. And let's revise the verb classes, if you remember. How many classes are there in Sanskrit? There are 10. So you got one class, class 2, class 3, class 4, all the way to 10. And each one of those classes will determine how a stem is made, right? And then obviously you attach the declension to the stem, and that's the whole word. Okay, so let's just do a quick revision of classes. These are the easy ones, 1, 4, 6, and 10. The general basis is they all end in a. That's why they're easy. So there's no internal sandhi. And you'll find this on the website in lesson 54. So I'm not going to go over how to construct all of them, but the notes are there. And then non-1, 4, 6, and 10s. These are not so easy. And why not? Simply because they don't end in a. The stems don't end in a. So there's some internal changes there. And let's just revise how we did class 8. Okay, and what's the most common word in class 8, if you remember? I think there's only 8 words, only 8 roots in class 8. And the most common one is
Ton.
kr, which is do. Okay, how to make. Now remember, in non-1, 4, 6, and 10s, you will always have a difference between singulars and dual and plurals, okay? So there will be a little difference how the stems are made. Let's look at the singulars. Root plus o plus declension. Here it is, tan. Okay, we're looking at tan. That's class 8. Plus o, so that's tano. Easy. There's no guna or vrti changes. Just put o at the end. And then plus t, tanoti. He stretches. Karoti, tanoti, same thing. Okay, so root plus o, done. How about dual and plural? Instead of o, you say u. So tan u, tanu, and then vaha. We too stretch, tanu vaha. So revision, single equals root plus o. Dual and plural equals root plus u. Simple. Verb class 3. So this is what we're doing now on page 72 all the way to page 75. How to form verb class 3. Root is repeated. A technical name, they call it the reduplication. I like repeated, but it doesn't matter. It's up to you. And the name for this in Sanskrit is abhyasa. I think that means practice, but in this case, it means reduplication. So what does abhyasa mean? When I say abhyasa in this context, someone answer to me?
Repeat.
Repeat. Okay, so what is this? What do I mean by repeat? You just simply repeat the root, like dao 2 times. Let's look at a primitive example. Not an actual, but it's a primitive example. Let's say who. Right, that's class 3. Offer, so he offers. So you just double it. Hu, and then the declension. Hu, ti. How about ha? Sita, Ramas abandoned Sita. Ramaha, Sitam, ha, ti. Okay, so you just double it. Ha. Now, obviously, Sanskrit is a little bit more advanced than this. They just don't want to make it so primitive, which is why I call it a primitive example. But you get the idea so far, yeah? You simply double it, done. Now let's look at a proper example. Now, when I say proper, what's the difference between my primitive example and a proper example? The proper example is just going to have a few rules how to double and a few changes in those doublings. Let's go back to who. So I just taught you who, but it's actually not going to be who. It's going to be a little bit different. Let's look at just the dual and the plurals. Okay. And then we'll look at the singles also. Okay, what do we first notice? We'll notice who. Okay, who. Okay, this is the hvati. The only exception is there, hvati. Okay, no, nothing surprising, yeah? Because it's who. We didn't change anything. And then obviously, as I just said, tanoti, this tanoti, same thing here because it's under class non-1, 4, 6, and 10. So instead of u, you have this o, change into an o. Ho, 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 ho. Okay, so nothing strange so far. Now, the only thing you'll notice that's a little bit strange is this ju, 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 ju. Okay, so this ju is called the abhyasa, the duplication. So the next question is, then how do you go from hu into ju? Okay, well, it's not surprising. I mean, you can hear, for example, here, see that this u, we'll use this one. Let's use this. This, see, they're both u, right? U, 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 u. So the only difference is this j and her, okay? So there's just a rule, and this is what I mean as rules. So whenever you see this her, the her, instead of a her, it reduplicates into a j. That's it. Done. Okay, so let's look at a construction formula, a little bit more detail.
Sorry, Andrea, I didn't get that.
You'll get it now.
Okay.
Okay, construction formula, how to create. Let's look at a dual and plural. So we're going to see how do we create this section here. We're only looking at this section here. Okay, there it is. Dual plural. Abhyasa, that means the duplication part, the green part. The root, the original root, and then the declension. The declension we can pretty much cross out. That's easy. You already know that from the karomi and tanoti. So we're looking at who, offer. So here it is. You just simply carry it over root, who, and you duplicate it into this part. Now the u carries over. U carries over. The only difference is this h has changed into a j because it's a rule there. So the rule is h changes into a j. And therefore, ju hu taha. Ju hu taha. They too offer. Ju hu maha. We all offer. So we're looking at the singles now. Obviously, same thing, except as I said before, this u is going to be an o. Why is it going to be o? Because it's guna, okay? Guna. And I already said this in the non-1, 4, 6, and 10s. That's why the o, karoti, because what's the guna of u? O. So that's already there, ho. And same thing, you duplicate it just like we already did on the above, ju, ho, ti. Okay, so just take note of this guna. That's why it's an o and not an u. So far we have simply duplicated it with some rules, and that's all we've shown you so far. And here's the construction rules. You will need it later on when we learn about desideratives, perfects, lesson 26, desideratives in lesson 30, and intensive in lesson 31. That's the last lesson. Because see, these duplication rules don't just apply to class 3, they also apply to these grammatical moods. Long vowel will change into a short vowel. So suppose the root is a da. Okay, there it is, da. That's literally a root. And it means to give. So how would you write? It's a class 3, so immediately it's going to have a reduplication. And then da, you see how the long has changed into a short? A long has changed into a short. Da, da. Make sense? So da, da, ti is he gives. Da, da, ti. Aspirated into unaspirated. Da, which means to put. Da. And then you just simply unaspirated. So from da into da. You don't say da, da. You say da, da.
Example.
Oh, dadhati.
Dadhati. Yeah, correct. Sorry, I couldn't see it because the images. Yeah.
Dadhati, which means to he puts, she puts. Changes into an I. Br, which means to carry. Into, obviously this there it is, will change into an I over there. Therefore, bibr. The h changes into a j. That's your rule there that I just explained earlier on. Okay. From ha into a j. So jaha, jaha, jahati. If the root starts with two consonants, only first consonant reduplicates. There it is. These two consonants, only the first one reduplicates, not the ya. So you don't say tia tia. If s is followed by consonants, remove the s and consonant reduplicates. Now you're probably asking, how do you go from sta, this is a common one, into tishta? Well, there it is. Look at the colors and you'll figure it out.
Sorry, Andre, I just got something in my mind. Just going back to the jaha and tatyaj. Now you can use the abandon for tatyaj. Remember we were talking about tyaktwa before?
This is actually
That-
perfect. So this, you notice it's class 1. So this doesn't necessarily fit into class 3. However, there's reduplication in other classes. That's why he's putting in here. Go on.
It's
Daniel.
very overwhelming. Go ahead.
Well, you know, this is volume 2. So
How are we going to use the tatyaj? I have never seen that before. Tatyaj.
yeah, this is a perfect, I believe.
So with the star, how did it became T?
Okay.
Because it would be, if only the ta is being reduplicated, how did
Okay.
it become T?
Yeah, hold on. If S is followed by a consonant, because we also had to apply all the other rules before in order to arrive to this. If S is followed by a consonant, as it is, so S is followed by a consonant, remove the S and consonant reduplicates. So it's supposed to be a S here, if I can zoom this in. You know, put it in between there. So the S removes and you just duplicate the T. And you remove the aspiration because the aspiration, it says before aspirated, right? Over here, aspirated into unaspirated. So we're applying that one into, that's why we're removing the aspiration.
Yeah.
We're getting rid of the S. That's why there's no S. And we're
Yeah.
just reduplicating the T. And furthermore, why is there
E.
yeah, E? Why is there E? Because let me see here. I think I wrote some more notes about this special one because I knew someone's going to ask me. It says here the long A reduplicates. So we got rid of the aspiration, but this A originally, this long A, instead of A, it reduplicates as E. So long, it says here, long A should reduplicate as A, technically. So you should say ta, tashta or something, right? Technically. But it says here in my notes, a long A should reduplicate as A, but not because it reduplicates as E. I guess because of some standard things.
And Andre, in the text, it also says, I mean, I couldn't understand it, but maybe it will help you.
Yeah.
Another general rule is that if the root begins with sa, followed by a stop, sparsha, only the stop is repeated.
Okay, and then velars convert into palatals. So kr into, okay, what does this mean? Velars convert into palatals. So if you look at your, you know, the letters, you got velars, you know, ka, ka, ga, ga, na, and then palatals right underneath the second row, cha, cha. So from ka into cha, therefore from ka into cha. So if you got ka, right underneath is cha. So ka into cha, therefore, that's what you have. Velars into palatals. It's an irregular, so this is why it's kara. It's an irregular, and that's why you expect this r to follow this rule here and be something like ki, but it's not. Chakas is your regular example. Yeah, but so what we've seen so far, there are rules on how to arrive to these reduplicated forms. Reduplicated forms, that means these beginning ones, or the beginning ones, or the ones that are not bolded. Let's move on to prefix and suffix. So we're now looking at prefixes. What is a prefix? You attach it at the beginning of a word. So far, we have learned to attach a or an, right, to negate a word. You know, atma, or it's a vowel, then you put an, so anatma, self and not self. The other ones that we can do is su and dus. Su and dus, which basically means well, very good, right, or easy, and dus, ill, bad, difficult, or hard. And dus has several rules. Sanhi can make it because of this s, obviously you're going to have some sanhi changes. It can be duh with a visarga. It can be dush, or it can be dur. You'll see some examples now. The dus changes into either a dush or a duh before these letters. Let's look at some examples. Su, su, su. Okay, just attach the next section there and just make that whatever this is, good, good, good. And then you got this dus. You can see the changes due to sanhi. Duh, dush, dur, du, durvanam. And a special rule, nouns vowel may take a guna. So, you know, bodha, this is actually buddha. Buddha just means intellect or clever. Now notice how the u has changed into an o. So if you go into vowel strength, you'll see that u changes into an o. Therefore, instead of subuddha, it goes subodha. That may happen. That's why it says nouns vowel may take a guna. Su plus buddha equals subodha. Easy to understand. And it's an adjective. So pustakam subodham asti. Book is easy to understand. Chapter 22 done.
I was just looking at who offer, and I found that it actually might be a little more difficult.
Oh, for offer.
Yeah, on page number 74, because instead of it becoming juhu and juho consistently,
Yeah.
the first and the uttama and madhyama forms are a little more complicated.
Oh, these are imperatives now, by the way.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, imperatives got different endings. So you need to go back into imperatives and you'll see why. You know, if you look at the imperatives of gachani, gacha, gachatu,
Yes,
gachawa, gachatam, gachatam. So same thing. Homework is to say out loud 1 times the class 3 paradigms on page 73. Juhomi, juhomi, juhoshi, karomi, karoshi, karoti. Nothing new there. Juhuvaha, juhuvaha, kuruvaha, nothing new there. Juhutaha, kurutaha, juhutaha, kurutaha. Okay, juhumaha, juhuta, juhvati, probably a rare one. Probably expect juhvanti with that n there, but it's juhvati. Page 73, then paradigm page 74, say that out loud once. The imperative. That means you must offer. That when you think of imperative, think of exclamation mark. It's a command. And paradigm on page 75. And by the way, on page 74, the entire dual and plural is highly uncommon in any text. So you don't even have to remember the dual and the plurals. And also the page 75, the entire dual and plural hardly ever used. So don't even bother. Okay, I'm not going to say that. You don't have to memorize dual and plurals on page 74 and 75. The only one on page 74 that you do have is juhvatu. That means plural, third person, juhvatu. That means you all offer. Juhvatu. And then obviously singles. And then page 78, the entire 5 and 6, all that are undone.